You are now listening to AB on the Unpopular Opinion Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy AB, and you are now listening to the Unpopular Opinion Sports Podcast. I'm your host, AB. Thank y'all so much for watching and kicking it with us, man. It's going to be a great show. I got a lot in store for y'all today. So we got Mahomes. He was rumored to not play another down for the Chiefs unless the Chiefs change their team name out of respect for Native Americans. We're going to discuss all of that, whether that rumor is true or not. Number two, we're going to go into who is the starting quarterback for the Bears. Who will it be, Foles or Trubisky? We're going to let y'all know who should be the starting quarterback for the Bears, and all that that entails. AB to the Ravens. There's rumor that that's going to happen. We're going to dive into that. Hollywood plus AB plus Lamar, does that equal a Super Bowl? We're going to get into that all today, so let's get it. Pal, what's good, bro?
Hey, man, you know, back in the building, ready to do it.
Yes, sir. Let's go. All right, so this Mahomes thing, man, he's rumored to not play another down for the Chiefs unless the Chiefs change their team name. Now, a lot of fan reception that was in that thread was that they were actually happy about that they were, backing Patrick Mahomes and, taking that type of stance. So give us a little bit about what you think would happen if Patrick Mahomes took that type of stance, and, you can give your opinions on that.
If Patrick Mahomes tell you to change the name and he's not playing again, you change that name. I don't care if he says change the name to the Patrick City Mahomes Boys.
Right.
You change that name.
Right.
This is Patrick Mahomes. He has done everything your team would want from a guy that young at this point in his career, and he's only getting better.
I'm telling you, man, Super Bowl MVP, league MVP last year. He could have won it had he not been injured last year as well.
Threw 50 touchdowns his rookie year.
His rookie season. So
technical.
Well, technical. Yeah, his first year starting, so his second year, and then possibly last year, which was his third year, he could have won MVP as well. So superstar quarterback, definitely the best player in the league. I think everybody will agree with and say. My thing is, if your quarterback does take that type of stance as the president, as the owner, you know what I mean? Like, of course, you want to keep that quarterback. You want to keep that winning happening. That builds revenue. But how do you change the apparel? How do you change everything that's been Chiefs for so many years? Like, you think that devalues anything for the organization? Or, like, how would that even work? Because you got to change everything. They've been printing jerseys out.
The Rams did
it. Say again?
The Rams did it.
Yeah. What was their team name before?
They were St. Louis.
Yeah, they were saying, but they didn't change the team name though. That was the city. When you change the team, what other team has changed their team name? You know what I mean? Like,
without
not
changing
in a long
the city,
time.
you could do like the Supersonics. The Oilers, things of that nature.
But they changed team and city. So
nobody ever
that
just
was a whole brand new. You're right. So I don't know how that would work, but it would be interesting to see, man. So, like, the rumor got started with a Twitter handle called Sprott Sindler. Sprott Sindler. Sorry, you're right. Sprott Sindler. They had the logo and everything. It looked legit. I even thought it was real. Like, I'm sharing it online. Like, Patrick Mahomes is doing this. And I looked at the handle and I was like, nah, hold up. So, like I said, I wasn't the only one that got duped because a lot of fans thought that it was good too. So, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that's disrespectful to Native Americans to have a name like the Chiefs as their team name?
I was reading up on this and I saw a good point. It was like one of the guys said, I live in a city, couple cities over from a team named after the Indians, and they tried to do a similar thing with that, and nothing happened, and no real Native Americans were actually saying they were upset by the situation and the name. It was just outsiders saying so. So that's why they didn't change the team name there. So I feel like maybe the same thing would happen with the Chiefs. They could take a poll, and then like the Redskins situation a couple years back.
Yeah, but with polls and stuff like that, Native Americans only make up not a large percentage of, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to justify like naming your team as the Indians or the Chiefs or what have you, and making money off that name for so long when they've already historically gone through basically genocide and like just complete disrespect to that community. And you should ask that community if they're hurt by the name or if they feel it is disrespectful. You know what I mean?
More so than to the fan base. I like what you're saying there.
You know what I'm saying? That. So I feel like if you add everybody as Chiefs fans, of course, you know what I'm saying, they're going to say, no, don't change the name. You know what I'm saying? We've been that Chiefs for so long. So that's my take on it. You know what I mean? Like, and I do think that, yeah, it is disrespectful. I think that if there was a team named after black people, whatever you want to name, whatever word you want to use for that, I don't think that would be cool either. Especially if a black person don't own the team. So that's how I feel about it. So we saw Mahomes take a similar stand for Black Lives Matter. He was in that video along with the others. Like, talk about what type of impact that had and how important it was for Mahomes to be in that video.
That plays a big role, especially because of the clout that he has in the city of Kansas City.
I think in the NFL as a whole.
Really like the whole country. So Mahomes is really a big face, like you said there, and he also has been advocating voting in Missouri. So like he's actually trying to help make a change in that whole area, in that community, which says a lot. Like I said, with him being this young, trying to already start and make a change, it's no telling where his ceiling is. With his career and with his activism,
and I think LeBron has kind of spearheaded that in the sports community as far as having more of a voice, being more active outside of just sports, more than basketball. And I think that they're doing a great job, and I applaud Mahomes for what he's already done and what he will do. So, yeah. But that rumor was false, guys. He did not say that.
They also tried to, via Adam Schefter, the tweet Adam Schefter was actually they trying to verify it.
Yeah, they tried one. They pulled one, but it got corrected. So that rumor was false, everybody. So we're going to go into the next one. So Bears quarterback situation. We got Nick Foles. We got Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky was drafted in the 2015 draft, I think. 2017 draft. 17. So he's been a starting quarterback since then, but he's had some struggles. Especially last year, that he did go 8-7 when he started, but he only had 17 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, like a 63% percentage as far as passing, which doesn't really cut it at your quarterback position if you want to have an explosive offense. Tell me about who you think should start for the Bears quarterback and why.
I would go ahead and give it to Nick Foles, maybe just to start the season out. But if you give it to Foles, you have to let Foles have it. So I feel like what they're going to do is let Trubisky start the season out. And if he still has that lackluster start to the season like he came off of last year, then they'll end up giving it to Foles. Because if you can't take your starter position away from your quarterback, and then if the other guy doesn't make the cut, try to give it back.
Right.
That kills his morale. That kills his everything. Like, it just changes his whole approach to the game.
Right.
So that's why they'll probably end up starting the year with Trubisky, I feel like.
Okay.
That's an aging team. They spent a lot of money on that roster, and those guys are in a win-now type of situation.
Are they?
I mean, between now and the next year or two, because you got to think, guys like Khalil Mack, he's like 27, 28 now. Akeem Hicks getting older. That whole defense is getting older. They do have young pieces.
And their defense was really good last year. Their defense was really good.
Aside from that, their run defense actually went down a little bit with the injury of Akeem Hicks.
Right.
When he went down early in the year, that rush defense suffered tremendously from that.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Big guy in the middle. Clogging
and he's
2-3
athletic.
O's.
He's super athletic. So I'm going to give you a scenario. So what if Nick Foles outperforms Mitch Trubisky? Like, you know what I'm saying? Pretty much, like, it may be a little close, but, Nick Foles seems to be a little more consistent in certain situations, certain scenarios when you in practice at training camp. So, when you go into the board meetings and you say, hey, like, Nick Foles has actually been outperforming Mitch, but we want to still keep Mitch in the mix, not thinking that we've forgotten about him because we used our first round pick on him. So would you still start Mitch even though Nick Foles outperformed him in training camp?
No. In that situation, I mean, you're trying to win football games. You can't keep everybody happy. That's just a part of sports. You're not going to be able to keep everybody happy. Somebody has to go home mad at the end of the day. And if Nick Foles is clearly outperforming him, he has to get the starting job. When he went to the Super Bowl with the Eagles, he had a great playoff run, led him to a Super Bowl, which as an Eagles fan, against my Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Foles won the Super Bowl MVP. He ended up getting a big contract with Jacksonville, broke his clavicle in week 1 after starting out with a pretty nice game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I've always liked Nick Foles. Clearly, we drafted him. We won a Super Bowl with him, like you mentioned. He played very well in our playoff run, and he's played well with us as a whole. You know what I mean? Anytime he's gotten into the starting lineup, whenever he gets a chance, he's played well. So it's not like he can't do it. I think that the offense has to suit Nick Foles. I think he can play in the like standard drop back, quarterback style, pro style. And I think when he went to the Jags, he did have some good games. But I don't think that offense was suited for him anyway. So him breaking his clavicle, being hurt for most of the season, I think really affected him. And even the games that he came back in, he probably wasn't even 100% healthy at that point. So he did play bad, once he got back. And that's how Gardner Minshew got back into the starting lineup. So I think the Jags gave up on him too soon, in my opinion. Gardner Minshew did have a big fan appeal to the Jacksonville, so I think that played a role into it too, just with jersey sales, and they trying to make money, what I mean? They ain't really trying to win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. They want to make some money. If they get better, yeah, sure. But right now, they're not nowhere suited to be a playoff team or a Super Bowl team, so I think money-wise, it made sense to keep Minshew, but I think they gave up on Foles way too quick. He signed a 4-year, $88 million deal. So if you giving a guy that much money, you got to have some confidence in him, right? So, and by the way, once he got to the Bears, he went from making potentially $88 million to $24 million. So the total amount of his new deal with the Bears is $24 million.
But you also have to take into consideration, the Bears had the 4th lowest scoring offense last year.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
They've already declined the 5th-year option on Trubisky's deal. Their patience is wearing thin. They keep telling everybody that he's their quarterback, but it's the same situation with the Panthers. I mean, not the Panthers, but the Patriots and their quarterback situation. Right. They were saying the whole time, we're probably going with Stidham, probably going with Hoyer, and then they signed Cam Newton.
Right, which we'll make sure we go over, in another video just to let y'all know. So, AB to the Ravens. That's been a rumor going around. Now, what type of impact would AB have with the Ravens? We already know the Ravens have a tremendous roster. What would AB do for Lamar Jackson and the rest of that team?
AB would come through and completely change the dynamic of that team. The team goes from a run-dependent team to a passing threat at that point. Because we all know that Lamar can throw the ball. He just didn't have the weapons. Yeah. You have Marquis Brown on one side as well as having
his brother
Antonio Brown, his cousin, on the other side.
His cousin. That's right.
That will be a crazy change up to everything. And plus, he hates Pittsburgh at this point in his career. So he's going to do everything he can to win that division just to punch them in the mouth. Yeah. So just imagine with his drive and everything that he's been through in these last 12 to 14 months, man, that would be scary to have him come into that strong team like that.
And I think the thing with AB, just want to make sure his mind is right. You know what I'm saying? I think he'll get reinstated into the NFL. I think Roger Goodell will make that happen. It's not for a lack of talent. You know what I mean? We know what AB can do on the field. He's been I would say the most consistent and best receiver over the last 6 or 7 years. I mean, that's
100 yards
arguable
in
with
6 seconds.
Julio, but that's about it. You know, the last 6 or 7 years, AB has been the best receiver at that position. So, like you said, like they will have more balance. I think, you know, we know AB can get open against just about anyone. So, and we know Lamar can throw. You know, that's been the knock on him since he got drafted. They tried to make him into a running back, and now he's on the cover of Madden 21. League MVP. So that tells you about Lamar's mindset and how much of a dog he is.
Hey man, big trust, man. Big trust.
And they got, I love their draft, man. Patrick Queen at linebacker, beast. I think he's gonna be a superstar. J.K. Dobbins, running back from Ohio State, and then they got Justin Mabubuke. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but D tackle out of A&M. I love all of those picks. All of those picks. So that's going to be up for us today, man. We want to thank everybody for taking the time to check us out. You can follow us on Instagram. Make sure y'all smash that like button, subscribe, share this video. We appreciate y'all support. If you want to donate, you can donate in the description below. And we want to thank y'all for everything. And we out.